So last class we talked about all the different names. You all took the quiz on the last time on these names, angle pair names, corresponding, consecutive interior, alternate exterior, etc. And I said it didn't matter if the lines are parallel, they still had these names, right? Well, what happens when the lines are parallel? Actually, something very specific actually happens because we can know something about their actual measures. So what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and mark, don't worry about interior, exterior, but I want you to, in your paper, I want you to mark the lines actual parallel. And we do that with these little arrows that we've drawn. I've drawn in green on my paper. So on your paper, just mark them parallel. And we're going to talk about what actually is true. And I've grouped them on your paper for a reason like this, okay? So I've grouped consecutive interior and consecutive exterior together as a reason. Now, if I remember correctly, I had you mark angles 1 and 2 for consecutive interiors. Is that correct? Is that right? Well, let's actually go ahead and put degree measures now to this, okay? So if, and this is only if the lines are parallel, okay? So let's pretend angle 2 looks like it's a cube. Wouldn't you agree? So let's say that angle 2 is going to measure, what does it look like it measures? Maybe 60 degrees? Would you agree? So let's actually make this 60 degrees, okay? If I know angle 2 is 60 degrees, and I also know that the lines are parallel, then I know for a fact what angle 1 is. Anyone want to take a guess? It's 120, exactly right, okay? So they are, in fact, supplementary. They're going to add to be 180 only when the lines are parallel, okay? So you have to be told that ahead of time. If you remember back to the quiz, we had that triangle one where you still had corresponding angles, consecutive exteriors, etc. So I didn't know their measures, but if the lines are parallel, I will, okay? And actually, both of these are going to be supplementary. So if you would, write that on here, okay? So write that. They add to be 180 degrees, okay? Both consecutive interior and consecutive exterior. Now, I know that you wrote transversal there in the middle from before, right? Or right underneath there, you can kind of say that both of these, the consecutives, okay, you want a consecutive, supplementary. If that helps you, you can color code it. If you have colored pencils, highlighters, whatever. Consecutive means they're supplementary. They add to be 180 degrees if they're consecutive interiors or consecutive exteriors. Okay? Now, I've grouped the last 3 together for a reason as well, and they should go, mine don't go all the way across the page, but I think yours do on your paper, right? And these all are grouped for a reason as well. Alternate exteriors, alternate interiors, and corresponding. What do you think's true? If the lines are parallel, what's true about their measures? Look at the pictures. What do you think? Let's pick an alternate interior angle. If you guys looked at it this way, we said 1 and 2. Right? So what do you think? They're going to be the same measure. So for example, if I know that angle 2 is 60 degrees, then guess what? What does angle 1 have to be? 60 degrees. Exactly. Okay? So all of these, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and the corresponding, all of these pairs are going to be congruent. Okay? So they're going to be congruent if the lines are parallel. So I've kind of grouped in your paper that way. So the 2 all consecutive, interior and exterior, are supplementary. What other pair do we know that's supplementary? There's one more. Do you remember? It was on your quiz. Linear pair. Very good. So we have linear pair, consecutive interior, consecutive exterior. They add to be 180. And then we have these 3, and there's still one more that's congruent. Do you remember what the other congruent pair was? Vertical. Very good. Okay? So we know this. Let's make a picture. Let's make one little diagram. And I would like for you to put this in your notes somewhere. So you're going to have to take some notes today. You can title those notes, what should we title them? Degree measures with parallel lines. We'll call it that. Okay, and today is October 3rd. So I want you to draw this picture. Now I've got to denote somehow that the lines are parallel. So I'm just going to draw little arrows. And I'm going to draw 2 arrows. It doesn't matter. If I draw 2 arrows up there, I'm going to draw 2 arrows down here as well. So these 2 lines are definitely parallel. They're marked parallel. We know that they are. And I'm going to give you 1 angle measure. Based on that 1 angle measure, you should be able to come up with every other angle measure there is. So I'm going to say that this angle is 58 degrees. Okay? I want you to come up with every other angle measure in the diagram. So I'm going to pause the recording for a second, and I want you to think about that and how you can come up with those answers. What's nice about this picture is that if they look congruent, they are. Okay? It's that simple. So you want to kind of look, are they acute angles or are they obtuse angles? And in that case, that's what you're going to know is if they're all acute, all the acute angles are congruent and all the obtuse angles are congruent. Okay? Now, what I have seen on the SOL is that they don't make it real obvious like I have here, if it's acute or obtuse. They'll make it like 92 degrees. That's not very nice, is it? Okay? But that's kind of, so they want you to really know which ones are congruent and which ones aren't. So, who wants to start? Come on, Jesse, what do you think? Down here? Up here? This one I'm pointing? Okay, what is it? 142. Right? Did you? I didn't hear you. 122. I'm sorry. It's that fan. Sorry, I can't hear very well. My sister actually is deaf. I think I'm going deaf too. It's kind of like that. All right. I agree. What kind of angles are those? Name and name. They are supplementary, but what's the other name? LP, linear pair. Right? Okay. Very good. Give me another angle. I know. Okay. It's okay.
122 on the bottom right. No. Yes.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. Okay, that's one of them. I know, Ali. The vertical of 58 is 58. I agree. I love that you used that term. The vertical of 122 is 122, and actually in both cases, is it not? Because they're both vertical. Okay, give me something else, Esteban.
58 alternative interiors.
Alternate interiors. Very good, because they're going to be congruent, right? Excellent. And then our last guy, 58. Okay, so based on one given angle, if I have parallel lines, you should be able to come up with every other one. Okay? We can kind of think about it in this way. Okay? Well, that's really terrible. All of these, as Sute said, you zigzag your way through, are congruent. I like that. And then all the ones on the other way, we can zigzag our way through the other direction, and they're congruent as well. Awesome. So what you have in front of you, oh, we have one more problem, sorry. 2 more, actually. All right, so here's one. I'm going to mark these lines parallel, and I want us to find the measure, the degree measure, of angles 1 and 2. A little bit more of a complicated picture. How many transversals do you see? I actually see 4. All of them are transversals, aren't they, technically? But if we're specific to the parallel lines, how many transversals intersect the parallel lines? 2. Okay, we have one that connects the 1 and the 120, and we have one that connects the 100 and the 2. So let's think about these angles and how we can come up with the degree measures. Anyone want to take a stab at one of these? What do you think? 1 or 2, doesn't matter to me. I want you to use the name, if possible. So use the names of the angles, and let's develop what we're going to get to eventually called a proof. But let's talk about what names are given to the angles, and so why are they congruent? Or why are they supplementary? What do you think? Jesse's on fire today. Come on. Okay, what's supplementary? That's okay. Ooh, corresponding. Okay, what angles are corresponding?
Okay, so the ones
Okay, they're not quite corresponding, but 120 and this are corresponding. I agree. Okay, because they have to be to the left of the transversal and above the line. So I agree with her argument. Corresponding angles are congruent. Therefore, this angle here is 120. Perfect start. Okay, excellent. Ali. Okay, don't even need that right now. That could have been a different way we went though. Okay, so that would have worked. But let's kind of feed off of what Jesse started.
120 and 100 linear pair.
Yes. So since she started with this method, that's the route we're going to go. We don't need the other stuff right now. That would be kind of extra. But since she started with the corresponding angles, now we're going to say linear pair, that's got to be 60 degrees. Okay? Now, what Ali was suggesting is another route to get there. Okay? So you can write this down. That's perfect. But let me show you the other route that you were suggesting. But I have to erase what we have so far. Okay? I'll put it back in a minute. What Ali said was that if we had vertical angles, I would know that these would be vertical. Perfectly good. Now, what kind of angles are the current one and the one? Same side, interiors, or consecutive interiors. And when the lines are parallel, what's true about those angles? They're supplementary. Okay? So that would also give us that this would be 60 degrees. So there's two ways to get there, isn't there? Okay? Jesse started with the corresponding and the linear pair, or we could have done vertical and consecutive interiors. Awesome. Either way works. All right, let's go ahead and look at angle 2 now. Angle 2 is not as hard. Angle 2 is actually short, quick, and easy. Anybody have an idea? I know you know. I want somebody else. All right, tell me then.
Okay, so
What? Don't need that. You're making it too hard. Okay? Look very specifically at just the two angles. There's actually only one answer. It's quick, short. There's not two steps. Taylor?
Alternate interiors.
Yeah. Perfect. Done. See that? So they're alternate interiors right now. We don't have to do anything else. So this is just going to be 100 because when the lines are parallel, alternate interior angles are congruent. Perfect.
yeah.
You were trying to go hard way, weren't you?
I was like, so
But you probably would have. It probably would have worked, but it just would have been a long way around it. Okay. Good. I want you to think about justifying your reasoning. So on your homework that you're going to have to say they're congruent because alternate interior angles are congruent when the lines are parallel. That kind of thing. Okay? All right. A little bit bigger of a picture. Last picture for your notes, though. Okay? We have some parallel lines. L and M are parallel. So I'm going to mark them that way. We're also told that C and D are parallel. Notice I'm using a different number of arrows here because it's in the same diagram. If I used one pair of arrows, it would mean they were all parallel to each other, which obviously isn't true. So make sure you're using different pairs of arrows there. But we want to solve for X, Y, and Z here. Okay? So I'm going to pause the recording while you guys copy the picture down, and I want you to think about how am I going to solve for this? It's going to require some algebra. One thing I'm going to caution you about is that oftentimes students want to solve for X first. I don't think X is the easiest variable to solve for here first. Okay? So kind of step outside of your comfort zone a little bit and realize that you don't always have to solve for X first. We have two other variables here. We have a Y and we have a Z. So I really would rather you look and see which ones have a relationship I can answer right away. Okay? Based on that, what do you think we should solve for, X, Y, or Z? Z. Because? You said alternate interiors. Good. Alternate interiors. And when the lines are parallel, which they are, Ashley, what's true about alternate interiors? They're the same measure. They're congruent. You have one or two choices. They're either congruent or supplementary, right? When the lines are parallel. It's one of the two. So what's the equation that we're going to write? 98 equals 14z. And then how do I solve for z? Divide by 14. How many times does 14 go into 98? You sure? I'm positive. All right, so we got one variable. Is it okay with you if I just kind of cross this out and just write 98 degrees there? It's not the band from like the 1980s, 90s. When was 98 degrees around? Before y'all were born? Yeah, it's like a boy band, like back in like the boy band, like in the olden days. I don't know. Why does Kanye West exist? I have no idea. Just because he was born that way. I don't know. All right. Next. What do you think? What variable would you do next? There's probably more than one answer. Mm-hmm. There's more than one way to get there. Remember how we did the other problem? There's a couple of different paths. So just think about your path. What path would you choose? We need to solve for x and y. What do you think, Kendall? What would your path be? Which one would you solve for? There's more than one answer. You can really do either one. Which one would you do? You would do y. Okay, how would I get there? Okay, here's what you have to be very careful about. So I'm so thankful you said that, because this is actually such a common mistake. These two angles right here, I'm going to highlight them. Is that what you're talking about? Oh, okay. So you were actually right. Didn't make a mistake. I was thinking other ways. But can I use your fake mistake anyway? Okay. These two angles have zero relationship. There's not one transversal that touches both of those angles. Would you agree? So I cannot say anything about those two angles that I have highlighted. And that's what I thought Kendall meant, but she didn't, because she was smarter than me. Okay? So these, you cannot say anything about their measures. But what Kendall did say is that these two angles have a relationship. Is there a transversal that touches just those two? What is it? D, right? So because of that, they are what kind of angles? Alternate exteriors. And what's true about their measures? They're congruent as well. So I'm going to say 98 equals 3y plus 8. I need to solve for y. Subtract 8 from both sides. Divide by 3. And what do you get? Y is 30. Perfect. 30, well, not 30 degrees, it's just 30. The angle is the degree measure. So y is 30. Good. Still got to find that x. What you think? I can cross this out if you want and make this 98. Help me out. What you think? How do I solve for x? Hear you? Which ones? I agree that a pair of consecutive interiors exists. Which ones are they? This one and which other one? This one right here? Yes. Those are consecutive interior angles. Okay, they're on the same side of transversal C, and they're on the inside of the other two lines. When the lines are parallel, what's true about their measures? They add to be 180. So that's what we're going to write. We're going to say 98 plus 2x plus 5 is equal to 180. Okay, they're not equal to each other, but they are supplementary. They add to be 180. So I have to solve this equation for x. Let's do it. What do you think? What's 98 plus 5? Okay, 103 plus 2x. When they're on the same side of the equal sign, you just combine them. Now I'm going to have to move to the other side of the equal sign. So I'm going to subtract 103 from both sides. So 2x is equal to 77? Ooh, divided by 2? Can you have a decimal? Of course you can. Decimals are numbers too. What is it? 30.5. Good. 38.5. Agreed. Good. I'm busy. They need to stop emailing me. All right. Okay. I went ahead and gave you guys, so that's all the note-wise we're taking today, okay? You know what kind of angles are congruent, you know what kind of angles are supplementary. I think since it's Fun Friday, we should end our day drawing things. Let's color, want to? So I've given you a piece of paper. Please write your name on the top left corner of this paper. You're going to draw a face, okay? And we're going a face. No, you have specific directions on how to draw your face, and your face is going to be related to parallel lines, okay? So I'm going to come by and give it, this one is hole punched. So you want to write your name on this piece of paper as well. It has to do with angle pair names. You might have to have some degree measures figured out here, which ones are congruent, which ones are supplementary. And we're going to actually draw a face. And I'm going to come by and give you guys colored pencils because I think it tells you to like draw a blue blah, 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 okay? So it might be very specific about colors, specific about how to draw the nose, whether there's a beard, all kinds of different things, okay? But it's a total of 24 problems. And basically to answer the questions on the problem, you're going to just literally draw. You have two options, I think, for each question. So in some cases, you'll draw eyelashes or you'll draw ears or whatever, okay? So, let me give you one more. I think you need one more. There you go. So if you would, go ahead and look at problem number 1, okay? You have this picture. Do you see that? On the left, you have this picture where you have A, you have B, and you have a transversal. This picture is going to be used for 1 through 8, and I think it says that on the problem, doesn't it? Okay, so 1 through 8, you will use that picture. And so you have two options for each one. If they are alternate interior angles, you're going to draw that head or that hat, okay? I think you have to start with an actual face or like an actual circle. So if you would, on your blank piece of paper, if everyone would draw a circle on your paper, pretty big, not the whole, you're going to have to, I think you end up drawing a shirt and stop signs and mustaches. So make it maybe half of your, that's perfect, just like Ashley drew it, okay? So right here, so just about this big on your paper, okay? Big enough, so you're going to add things to your face, but you're going to end up drawing possibly a shirt, maybe something in the background, so it can't take up your whole paper, okay? Perfect. All right. So these 24 problems are all I'm asking you guys to do for the rest of class, and then you'll turn it in when you're done, and then you'll have a homework assignment. It won't be out of your textbook today. It's actually going to be in your parallel packet, but I'll write it up on the board, okay? So once you've completed your face, obviously turn that in. You'll staple your directions to your picture, and then your homework is going to be in your parallel packet, just the 3-2 practice. All the problems except for problem 13. It's a proof, and we haven't gotten quite to proofs yet, but we will. So don't cross it out. Just kind of omit that one for your homework, okay?